its own theme park. They originally intended 3 theme parks. There was going to be one in the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, then in Gurnee, Illinois, halfway between Chicago and Milwaukee, and then in Santa Clara, California. Let's hear it for Santa Clara, California.
Hope yours gets to stay open for another decade. I don't know about that.
Well, as we know, Santa Clara and Gurnee worked out just fine. They never did get around to doing the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area park. Apparently, the locals objected. So, slated to open in 1976, Great Americas, in time for the nation's bicentennial. In 1976, the parks opened, and Randall Jewell and Associates were hired to design the 2 Great America parks. And here is his site plan for those parks. Here's the construction starting for the entrance area. You can see the Columbia Carousel underway. The entrance area under construction. And finally, dedication day on May 28, 1976. There's J.W. Marriott. Anybody know who this guy is? No? Mel Blanc.
I don't even recognize that name.
Yep, Looney Tunes. And of course, Looney Tunes survives to this day. We've seen Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck all over the place. That's Mel Blanc, the voice of all of those people. Mr. Blanc has passed away since, but there he is at the dedication ceremony. Here's Randall Jewell. Kind of a groundbreaking ceremony, actually, for Great America. Mr. Jewell is famous for the Jewell Loop. He was an architect for a lot of theme parks, including Six Flags of Texas. And the loop idea was, and we heard it for Six Flags of Texas. And the Jewell Loop was the idea that he just created a loop. So pretty much you could see all of the park are just walking through the loop. And everything would be in the middle for the employees and all that sort of stuff. And so we still see the Jewell Loop here at Great America to this day, with the Southwest Territory being an appendage or whatever you want to call it. One of the first coasters here was the turn of the century by Arrow. This had a couple of killer first hills. They had that Arrow gracefulness. Thank you for appreciating how it like that. Those really jerked you around and just flew you out of your seat for a great airtime. And then they did the corkscrew, which of course survives to this day, because the turn of the century would later become the Demon. And one of the original rides, Willard's Wizard.
Yeah! California can't say this no more. We still can.
It was originally called, it's now called the Wizard. Willard's Wizard. Willard was one of the Marriott's ponchos or whatever. And who made this ride?
So stop if I remember right.
Stop. Who designed it?
Stengel.
Stengel. Bernard Stengel or Stengel GmbH. Good ride. Thank God it's still here.
She don't know, okay.
Yay.
Yeah.
And I asked a couple of Acers that I'm familiar with what they thought of Great America in its first year. And I asked Rich McLaury, who's a good Midwestern pacer, strongly supportive of Bill Foster County here in the Midwest. And he remarked, and pardon me for reading, quote unquote, I remember running to the turn of the century coaster, now altered to be the Demon. I had never ridden a looping coaster before. In those first years, it seemed so scary to ride. The park has changed a lot with some world-class roller coasters with a new section called Southwest Territory, Hurricane Harbor. It was great to have a major theme park that was bigger than Disneyland, but not a world away for us humble Midwesterners here. I enjoyed my time, after time, at Great America. I like the layout of the park. It was laid out like a big circle, so you never got lost. I really liked when Marriott invited ACE members to the press day for 1981 to the American Eagle opening. We'll talk about that shortly. The invitation was in a box with a balloon. Of course, sorry. And I think he still has this balloon to this day. Then a few weeks later, they had a 2-day ACE event with DRT and picnics. They also had a big barbecue for us at the nearby Marriott Hotel. Rich says, I joined ACE in 1979, so having that 1981 event at my home park allowed me to meet new lifelong friends who lived in my area. And, yeah, big deal. To have a park like this open, just a few miles away from where you live. I also talked with Marty Woltz, another famous Midwestern producer. Marty, ever the food connoisseur, recalls that even in 1976, Marriott's Great America had an almost full-service sit-down restaurant. It was a buffet. It was called Buffet Le Grand. It seems to have been a self-service buffet, but an employee standing next to diners at their table taking care of you. So there could have been a combination of self-serve and wait staff service, like what is common in buffet restaurants today. That full service, if you will, fancy, excellent food restaurant only lasted 1 year.
Oh.
And also, at the other end of the food spectrum, they also offered, pardon me for hesitating there, as I'm saying this, 5-cent root beer. In the first few years, they had a root beer stand set up, an old-fashioned root beer stand. And apparently that's how Marriott started out business. And you could get root beer for 5 cents. That lasted, I think, about 5 years here. Some other interesting rides came along early on. There was a kiddie coaster here in the first year in 1976. It was called the Gulf Coaster. It's an Alan Herschel. It only lasted 1 year. But this was one of the Great America, Marriott's Great America opened with 3 coasters. Willard's Wizard, Turn of the Century, and the Gulf Coaster.
Oh, I remember this ride well from my childhood. I rode this too.
A triple Ferris wheel. Amazing, massive attraction. While they were loading one wheel down to the ground, the other 2 wheels would be up and spinning. And then they would move it over. Down would go, and people would unload, and people would get in. I think the ride experience probably took about 15 minutes, beginning to end. Loggers running.
I just rode this over a while ago. Yeah, loggers! And Yankee Clipper.
Yeah, kind of 2 flumes, kind of amazing. Massive, big flumes. And of course, loggers run still exist these days, and Yankee Clipper is called what, Aquaman right now or something?
Yeah, Aquaman.
And I believe Speedway, and the only reason why I mentioned it was by Arrow. They relied on Arrow for a lot of stuff early on.
Now California still has their cars running. Oh my
Frederick
gosh.
Swain, why do I mention it? Schwarzkopf. This is kind of a calypso ride with balls.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been on that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's got some
Definitely a lot more intense than Holiday World.
a lobster.
Yeah.
Who made that ride?
Girl Scouts, which I never knew before.
I hope all of you had a chance to catch the Legacy of Schwarzkopf film. I don't know when next it's going to be shown. I don't know if Chris Rover is here, but anyway. Catch it when you can. Wonderful documentary.
Definitely.
Yay.
Never got a chance to ride this.
Right away.
I only saw it 1 year and I was too small to go on. The next year Batman took over the
Had
spot.
a weight drop. Others had a flywheel. They sent you out of the station, went through the loop, went up this end, and then you fell backwards through the whole thing and went over here, and there was a spike at this end, came down sort of like Top Thrill 2 does these days. These were powerful rides, and they were all over the place. You had the laser loop at Kennywood, and these were very popular for a while. Unfortunately, Tidal Wave is no longer here. We were up for a while. Now we go to the meeting.
I could hear the song playing.
Yeah. They took those amazing hills, jerky hills out, and put 2 loops in instead. Themed it up to the mast. Had a wonderful demon song. I don't know if anybody's capable of singing it right now. I certainly can't or won't. But it had its own theme music. Still does to this day, and really themed it up very well. The demon, which is still around to this day. The American Eagle.
Woo! Yeah, pretty bored. Got it swam off yesterday.
Was constructed by Figley Wright. 2 gentlemen wearing hard hats here. These are other Marriott officials at the time. American Eagle opening day, May 23rd, 1981. And they even had a press day. Zonker, the dog of the late Joe Barnum, was famous for loving to ride roller coasters. And Zonker was there on press day. He did appear to have a fine time. Here's what I consider a beautiful picture of this ride. This picture by Chris LaRue. Just a magnificent roller coaster, a magnificent structure, a magnificent looking ride if you don't want to give it anything else. It's not rough enough or intense enough for you, but just a beautiful, beautiful roller coaster and a signature ride for this park. And at the time, it was the fastest roller coaster in the world until 1988. It had the largest drop on a roller coaster until 1988. It was the tallest roller coaster in the world until 1985. The fastest roller coaster in the world until the year 2000, and the largest drop on a And to this day, it is the longest, best, and fastest racing roller coaster. Well, they don't race them these days, sorry about that.
We used to get both colors still running.
Wait, a Stardust time? It's definitely still the
I
time.
am told that they think the structure can't handle having the trains race side by side. Coast to Coast Dramamine Tour in 1984. Dramamine, the motion sickness medicine people, arranged a tour of roller coasters to promote their product, but also Ace latched onto this as a great chance to promote roller coasters. The two people who took the tour on were Gary Curiosity and Lucia Ambrosini, known as Lucy Ambrosini. Again, he's the second president, up there also. And they toured with what was called the Ultimate Roller Coaster. This was a roller coaster that featured just about everything you could think of. Wood structures, hills, loops,
Sure could work with that
you
track.
know, they're all there.
Missing a corkscrew.
And they came to Great America,
Hey, gravity's right there. Let's rebuild
and
it.
here they are along with bugs cutting a cake made in the shape of the American Eagle. The guy
Whoa.
on the left is the gentleman who actually designed that model, the ultimate roller coaster we were looking at before. And Ace was actually able to set up a booth in the American Eagle station area. And we took full advantage, and we appreciate it. Great America brought us in and able to let us do all of this stuff, along with Sylvester and the barbershop quartet.
I don't remember that barber shop. I do remember that being the Eagles Q from my childhood.
Another favorite acer here in the Midwest is named Bob Prenti. And Bob has a special affection for the American Eagle. And he just started riding the American Eagle a real lot. He told me, quote unquote, the ride is his sentimental favorite. Great structure, always enjoyable. And he started counting his rides. He is now up to 2,304 rides on the American Eagle.
Is that one color or both colors together?
I just know I've definitely gotten way more than that in my life.
Bob was here yesterday for the plaques unveiling. I don't think he's here today. I'm trying to do his job, I think, demanded his time. But Bob estimates that of those 2,304 rides, he has probably ridden 2,000 miles on the Eagle, and he intends to keep going. The Edge, the Intamin free fall ride. How many have been on one of these? Yeah.
Drop.
It didn't last that long. I think it was about 4 years here at Great America. They started having some problems and there were some injuries and so forth. But what a great free fall experience that was. Z-Force came along.
First Gio Canola that wasn't a bobsled.
Now, at this point, Six Flags acquired Great America in 1984. For the Marriott's people, the theme park division was an earnings disappointment for Marriott. As a result, Marriott decided to focus on its core business and began searching for buyers for its two amusement parks. While California's Great America was sold to the city of Santa Clara, Bali Manufacturing, then the parent company of Six Flags Corporation, offered to purchase the Gurney Park for $114.5 million. The deal was finalized on April 26, 1984. And from 1984 until now, let's do the math, that would be 41 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've enjoyed Six Flags, taking care of our amusement park here. Z-Force was the first ride that Six Flags brought in to Great America. There was only one of these ever made. It was called a Space Dive Coaster. And if you remember, it just kind of dove around dropping hills. I considered it, I kind of snarkily called it a one-trick pony ride. Just that one trick, but it did that one trick very well. This ride, the Z-Force, moved on to other Six Flags parks after this. Shockwave
I remember this ride from my childhood.
by Arrow. Again, this was the ultimate inverting coaster at the time. I'm not a big fan of going upside down for its own sake. Sorry about that. But if you're going to go upside down on a ride, Shockwave did it to the max. I mean, those loops were so huge, and those maneuvers and the corkscrew, it was wild. And I thought, you may as well just flat out give yourself up to it. Jeffrey Peters, who was the regional rep for our area and worked for Six Flags for a while, and was, I think, the ride crew for Shockwave, recalls that people who wore earrings on the Shockwave would come back with blood running down their neck because of the famous Arrow harnesses. Bashing back and forth. Well, they did it violently on this ride because this ride was so powerful. It was a great ride. Rolling Thunder.
I remember this ride
I
too.
think we got this from Great Adventure, if I remember right. It came over to us. Bobsled style
And
coasters.
didn't we give it to over Texas, I want to say? Or I was went to Great Escape.
I
It was a
know.
Girl House. Oh God, that headache made go boo.
Not actually the first feeling.
Thank you for the wolf call.
Thanks for the sound effects.
This is the first coaster made by B&M.
Yay.
It was a stand-up coaster. I don't know how many stand-up coasters are left on this earth, maybe one or two. maybe still-
Zero for mine now. Is that now that
There's at
Green
least
Lantern
3.
retired?
Or there's at least, yeah.
This was
No, there's at least 4.
B&M's first attempt, and of course, Great America has continued to have a great relationship with B&M.
The one in Italy that was from Canada.
I don't remember what Stamp Cross was.
Older
I'm Magic
Melbourne, I
Mountain.
should say. Sprocket Rockets by Macomb.
Yeah, still called Species Rockets.
Still around to this day.
Oh, we're getting the
Is
90s.
Cliff Harry in here? So, how many weddings did you do that day, Cliff?
144.
This is in 1997. Cliff was called upon to conduct wedding ceremonies, and once the wedding was done, people would then
This would be such a
ride
great
back
class
to
of tea for me and
Ross
Nestor.
say, what was the phrase, Cliff? The ultimate plunge into matrimony?
And when they mentioned my video weddings in the Slingshot Arena for 144 couples. And then when I did not pronounce husband and wife until they went over to the plunge, we would go to the top, I'm at the bottom of the microphone saying, now pronounce you husband and wife, may now take the plunge.
Yeah, probably close to 200, 250, something like that. Yeah. I remember you married Matt Crawford as the Abrams. Yeah. On a regular roller coaster, but the ceremony would be conducted at the top of the lift, and they'd stop the car, and the lift would turn around and conduct the ceremony.
There's a couple of people here I married in this.
And Cliff is still at it. All right.
Yay.
Thank you, Cliff. Batman the Ride.
Oh, I remember when this was new. My second year of coming here.
This was a big deal because this was the first ever inverted coaster. The manager of Six Flags Great American Time, Jim Wintrow, played a part in that also. And this roller coaster was a phenomenal success. Great theming also, Gotham City and all that sort of stuff, which they've recently gone through the trouble trying to restore a lot of that stuff for those of you who've ridden Batman the Ride this go around this week. The Viper.
Oh yeah, who remembers when this was the only thing in Southwest at the time? I remember that well.
This was one of the three Coney Island Cyclone homages that Six Flags undertook under the directorship of the chief engineer in Six Flags at the time, Earl Hudson. And he created the Georgia Cyclone and for Six Flags Over Georgia, and the Cyclone for Magic Mountain, and the Viper for Great America. Happily, the Viper still survives. The Georgia Cyclone does not, and neither does the Cyclone out at Magic Mountain. The Viper survives and is considered a decent wood coaster and good homage. More kind of took a little bit of the edges off of the original Coney Island Cyclone, but still it packed a nice punch. It's a good wood coaster. A lot of wood. Raging Bull.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm taking these in chronological order as to when Park Rock rides in. This is a phenomenal roller coaster. Boy, this morning, last night's ride set ERT and this morning's ERT. Oh my God. What a coaster. Magnificent, magnificent ride.
Especially
One of the best, I would contend.
so
For the
Detail.
City,
I miss it being that blue and yellow color actually.
a launch roller coaster. And it does this kind of maneuvering up the spike, just kind of torture you, and of course it desiccates at the other end, and hold still for a second before you dive back down. Fun ride. Deja Vu.
One of my two first launch coasters, other than Rock of
Pretty
Rossi.
decent picture over here at Night Ride by Vekoma. So if you get a sense of deja vu while looking at this, it's because the ride is no longer around. So right here.
Not here.
I feel like the internet
Discovery
died.
Kingdom has a line very
Superman, Ultimate
similar.
Flight by B&M. Depends on what you think about. Depends on what you think about flying coasters, riding in that position. This is pretty good.
I hate flying coasters for this reason. I can't stand the
I don't
position.
know how many coasters are up to now by B&M. I think there are 5 of them here right now.
Correct.
ACE Convention in 2005 here at Six Flags Great America. How many people were here at that 2005 convention? So ACE has a good relationship with Park, and it's nice to be back here 20 years later for this convention here at Great America. At that convention in 2005, we gave the roller coaster landmark plaque designation to Batman the Ride. It was presented during the 28th annual convention at the American Coaster Enthusiasts. Fright Fest. Hugely successful event. Continues to this day. They really dress the park up in all kinds of Halloween stuff. And here Tiny the Spider attacks the American Eagle. That is so cool.
You mean the Black Widow?
Where's
The
the
Raven
page
Contagion
and
by Rubber Sean was around for a while. I don't know how many of you rode that.
woo! I rode here in that
Imagine
milk
the
car.
young you, I missed that one.
Hurricane Harbor came along finally, still around to this day.
Yep, it turns 20 this year, I think. No, 30. It turns 30 this year. I messed up math. Oh, no, it turns 30 this year.
Still around to this day. Pretty much a wild mouse in the dark. I love wild nieces. This is a good one.
It's raining. So
Yeah, they are.
everything else is closed. Feels just
Oh, 8, I think that came out.
The Little Dipper.
Woo! Yep, that's 10.
By the great Philadelphia Toboggan Coasters Incorporated. I don't know if Tom and Janine are here.
So
today
Dipper's
about
been here for 15 years, I think.
By the way, whose trains are around the American Eagle? Whose trains are around the Viper?
Eagles!
And Eagle too.
Great company, great trains, great coasters.
Doesn't realize Viper trains look so similar to Eagles out in the cover.
We talked about earlier. Six Flags Great America bought it from Melrose Park, moved it over to Six Flags, and it stands to this day proudly and happily. And again, thank you for Great America.
Thank you to Hank Celesi who wanted to adopt it. Okay, that's 2012.
IB&M. Great coaster, a lot of fun. And of course, I love when you head through the control tower and you have to turn sideways and you think you're almost gonna
That's my favorite
crash into
area.
it. Nice effect. And I apologize. Go up to, easier to say than rush. Anyway, go ahead. I meant that to say Goliath.
Oh yeah, it's a star. I didn't know it's that far.
My RMC.
What?
And what I'm happy about, just from a personal standpoint, is this is from the ground up RMC. They didn't erect an RMC here on the carcass of a former wooden roller coaster. They
That's
built
right.
this from the ground up, brought it into their park.
It took the spot of Iron Wolf. They built everything from ground up.
And it is an intense, magnificent, thrilling roller coaster. Also, it is topper track. It is not I-box track. It's topper track, and I have argued all week long about that does make this technically a wood coaster, and I'll take it. I'll give it credit. Some people will say it's wood-like.
Yeah, it's just a
But,
hybrid.
no, it's technically considered a wood coaster. Which, by the way, happens to give Great America 4 wood coasters.
I'm only getting 3 in my
At
head.
some point, it's just a
And by the
hybrid.
way, that is the
ambiguous.
most
Oh, yeah, it's 4 if I count the World
wood
Depot.
coaster in the world. But it ties with a few other parks. What other parks out there have 4 wood coasters? Did somebody say Kings Island? Did somebody say Blackpool? Did somebody say Wisconsin Dells?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
my Olympics.
Unfortunately.
Well, Great America, along with those other, has the most wood coasters in the world.
They just
We'll take
fix
it.
Pegasus and all
I'm
the time.
especially fond of wood coasters, so I
Get new
appreciate
trains
that.
for Hades.
Now that's an excellent picture of Goliath.
What a ride. The Joker by S&S Worldwide. I consider this to be a kind of spinning cube roller coaster.
I call it a somersault flip coaster.
If you like that kind of thing, good for you. No, I really,
It was great for
At
those
least
2
once.
weeks before they needed it. You had that basement never run it
it's
again.
pretty exciting. Maybe a little too much speed for me every now and then, but pretty
Yeah, but that
exciting.
one's not metered, so.
Even
Here's the latest one meeting of Max Sports Media Day.
We miss you, Hank Selassie.
Hank unexpectedly passed away to our turnover rep. Joining us at the media day there, introducing the ride. And here's Max Sports by S&S Worldwide. Designed by Joe Graves. Of course, the big thing about the ride, I think, is its launch. It goes from 0 to 78 miles an hour in 1.9 seconds. Lamborghinis can't do that.
To some extent, you could
Neither
say
can
it took
stealth.
over the launch 5 days, I
And then it
think.
sends you through all kinds of stuff. But the amazing thing is that it's all over in 22 seconds. But it sure does pack a lot in.
Gee, I wonder what that pretty new
And those 22
coaster is
seconds.
right
And
there.
then finally, we have the newest, the Wrath of Rakshasa by Boulder Renown Martin.
Such a great coaster.
This dive coaster, I believe it's currently the tallest with the steepest drop. It's got the most inversions, sends you upside down 5 times, and then do one, and God knows what else. But it really flows well. And an interesting thing is it doesn't have any blocking brakes, no using on it.
Mhm.
It's just flat out all the way, it doesn't stop until the very end, where you would like it to stop. But it isn't slowed down or trimmed anywhere along the line. Got 3 rows of 7 people, and an interesting configuration.
No brakes, how do you
And it's
stop?
the newest coaster here, and so far it's a huge hit, because you see the public lining up in the queues. This is where everybody's headed. When you get to the park, you gotta ride Wrath of Chaka Khan, or whatever it's called.
Oh, Wrath of Rakshasa, I think you said. I just call it Wrath. It's a sort of name. That's easy to say.
They really decorated it nice with all the imageries and so forth, rocks, hot shotguns and everything, and I hope you all stopped and read that kind of stuff that they're in. Good character, rock, hot shotguns, and how evil he is. By the way, fun ride. And on Media Day, we enjoyed being interviewed by Marcus Lachak of WGN and Channel 9.
Yeah, we'll see him tomorrow night.
Who will be our guest speaker at our banquet. He's an ACE member himself, mega coaster enthusiast, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Marcus. Here he is interviewing Regional Rep Jeff Peters. Jeff, are you here? That's Jeff Peters, and he's the regional representative for this area. And here he is being interviewed by Channel 9. And that's me standing behind him, just kind of amazed that Jeffrey is able to get out complete sentences.
Okay, so the guy in the green is this guy in the black talking to the microphone.
No, Jeff's a really good guy, and very helpful to me. Spent a lot of time together. He really knows this park, loves it. So, if I could summarize, Journeys Great America is now in its 5th decade of success, now offering an amazing 42 rides within its 304-acre site. It has featured 24 roller coasters in its history and currently boasts 16 coasters. out of the 4,267 amusement parks in the world, according to RCTV, that feature roller coasters, Six Flags Great America has the 5th most coasters of any park in the world. There are parks with more coasters, you can name them, Energylandia over in Poland, Cedar Point in Canada's Wonderland. But Great America has the 5th most coasters of any park in the world out of those thousands of parks. And of those coasters, 4 are wood coasters, giving Six Flags Great America the most wood coasters of any other park in the world, tied for that honor with Kings Island, Blackpool. Mount Olympus, as we said earlier, the park can now claim 3 landmark coasters, the Wizard, Batman, and American Eagle. The most of any park in the world, tied for that honor with the most landmark coasters. Plus, Six Flags Great America preserved the coaster, the Melrose Kingland Little Dipper, rebuilding and reopening it here. And happily, we are thrilled to see Schwarzkopf Wizard, one of the original rides at this park in 1976, has survived for 49 years and is still delighting coaster fans to this day. I would condemn Six Flags Great America Disneyland Park. And I would like to thank these people for contributing to everything I tried to do here. Dave Honor, Josh Brown,
Your name's on the
Stephen
list.
Wilson, who wrote a Acadia book about Great America, Kyle Smith, Chris LaRue, Marty Waltz, Richard Montgomery, Bob Kremke, Jeff Peters, Harry Hoffman, Scott Heck, and Jeremy Rudolph. I appreciate everybody. And I thank you all for being willing to listen to me.
Alright, I think that's it for the history presentation.